Yo, what up? Let's talk about the tier list. Host, Photon Hypernova, Elements, tier 0. Cashier, maybe tier 0. I'm going to say tier 1 on this one. They get a lot of shit. They get a new support, they get a new field spell, they get a new searcher, they get that macro card that attaches. They get so much shit. So I'm going to say they're like a solid tier 1. Sprite. No, not tier 0. I'm going to say tier 1. I know Sprite doesn't really get too much support or anything at all going on the Photon Hypernova, but still, it's still a solid deck. It has a decent matchup against it has a decent matchup against Tier with like the Bestial. We get Ball Drake, so I think that's small support, but I think every deck can kind of benefit off of Ball Drake. Cheer just becomes better. Flow, I know people say it's bad, but I think Flow's still a tier 1 deck. D Shifter, Barrier Statue. They don't really get anything at all, but still they have D Shifter, Barrier Statue, and they have what's that, Harpy's Feathers Storm? They have that too. Let's go into Rogue. I think Despia gets really good support. They get the 2 new fusions, so that's pretty good. I put it at Rogue because I don't think it's like a tier 1 deck. Maybe like a tier 2, but still like a high. It's probably like the high end Rogue. Let's talk about Plunder. They also get a new ship that kind of makes them play against like Earth decks, and it's really good for like consistency and like other stuff. So I'm gonna say Rogue as well, and with like Tier and Cash, probably gonna be like the most prominent deck. I think Flow's gonna kind of take like a small backseat because that's sure kind of like a better D shifter deck. Plunder becomes a little better. Let's talk about more Rogue decks. I think Exo Sisters is a solid Rogue deck. I don't think it's like top end Rogue, but I think it's solid because it has a really good tier matchup. I don't think it has a good Casture matchup because like they can just get stuff off of Rebirth. It has a decent Sprite matchup. It doesn't have the best Flow matchup, but it's not too horrible. Let's talk about Dinos. I'm gonna say it's really hard to play right now because like with all like the macro stuff and people maining D shifters to counteract tier and stuff, it's really hard playing Dinos. I mean, going first maybe with like Dark Ruler and like Book of Eclipse because we can still make Ultimate Tyranno and we can just go clear out the board. It's pretty hard. Let's talk about Crystal Beast. I think this deck is like a hear me out. I think this deck is a solid. I don't think it's hard to play this deck. I think this deck is a solid rogue. It doesn't have a bad flow matchup. Cashier might be rough, but like you can play cards to combat it, like TC Boo going first. You can play Necro Valley. It stops like their birth, so they don't have to. They can't special something from the graveyard. And it has a really good fucking tier matches. The fact that it can search Necro Valley and all their stuff like that, it's really good for that. Dark World, I'm gonna say it's hard to play right now. The fact that we're getting another D shifter deck and another macro on Lage, it kind of makes his deck playable. I mean, going first, if you're gonna say going first, I'm gonna put Dark World. I'll put Dark World up here. Going first, Dark World with the hand looping and stuff, you can call it a tier 1, but nah, it's really rough right now for Dark World. Drytron, I love this deck, but I'm gonna say don't touch it because like a new additional to Bestial being Ball Drake, it already has a hard time in this format right now with like the Bestials and stuff running around and Tier running around, and then Cashier comes into the format with Macro and they don't have like the resource game. I don't really think you want to touch that deck. I guess you can kind of put it hard to play, but like it's rough. It's extremely rough. And I'm gonna say Hero, Rogue. Come on. Cashier does make it rough for heroes, but like the fact that they can still Dark Law and they have a good tier matchup, and they can make Plasma. Plasma is a good card that just counteracts that board. They can make Plasma. They can do stuff. Going first, Heroes is not a bad grow pick, and they've been getting tops here and there on regionals. Let's talk about Runic. I think Runic, it, it's not it's not a bad deck. I mean, macro does hurt it, but like you can play so many floodgates, and like you can go first with like you can kind of play like D Fissure. You can play like all these floodgates like Gozen. You don't really have to set if you're playing pure. I'm talking about pure Runics done. You don't have to play any other engine. You can just kind of like work on decking your opponent out. I don't think it's that too detriment against Casture because they can just resummon it out. But like if they're milling out the resources and they're banishing them out, uh, I think it could go either way for Runic. Striker. I'm dude. I love Striker more than anything. I think this deck is really rough right now. The fact that the freaking bestials exist, and then you got a deck that abuses macro again, so like they don't get the resource management in the graveyard for like having the three spells for striker, and the format's kind of like too quick. The fact that we got the shufflers for tier elements, it makes it rough against striker. It has a decent sprite matchup. Also has a decent flow matchup. It has a really bad tier matchup unless you're main deck and like the B shows and stuff like that. But I feel like it's rough. It's not really good because you got engage, you got B shows running around, so you don't get the Kagari float. Well, you don't get the Ray float. So I think it's rough. Sword Soul. I'm gonna say it's a rogue deck. I think. Hold up. Let me swap this around. I think it's better than Heroes. It's better than Runic. It does. It's a simple combo. It goes for the same thing. It's not really diverse, but I do think going first Sword Soul isn't too bad. And then you have cards like they can main deck like Dark Ruler. They can main deck like the Bestials and Baldric. Actually gives this deck a slight boost. I I don't think it's that bad because Baron de Fleur is still good, and if you hit the right card in Cashier or you hit the right card in Tier, and you can this deck can play a shit ton of hand traps. So like, it's not that bad. I don't think it's hard to play. I think it's a decent card, decent deck. My bad. That's all I have. I mean, I could add other cards, other decks like Natchiria's. I think Natchiria gets worse with Cashier coming in the format. Because like they play the runic cards, and the runic deck isn't too good against Cashier unless they kind of go first and set up like floodgates. I don't really think they're too good against Cashier. That's really all I have. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm kind of interested in hear you guys' opinion on this. You guys have a wonderful day. Killer out. See you.